with holy words, every verse so deeply heard, guiding us with sacred text. Journey's long, but we're all blessed. Everybody in here blessed. I'm 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 blessed. Shots alive with praise and hope. Together we find ways to cope. Dapper star with faith so true. Pastor leads us, see it through. Morning coffee, Bible in hand, spreading love across the land. Saxophone melodies play slow. In this digital pew we grow. Everybody in here blessed. I'm blessed. 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 Chats alive with praise and hope. Together we find ways to cope. Dapper star with faith so true. Pastor leads us, see it through. I'm blessed. Everybody in here blessed. 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 I'm blessed. Just
Pastor in a flat cap so dapper, streaming live with a heartfelt chapter, reading the Bible year begun. Followers join in morning sun, Twitch lighting up with holy words, every verse so deeply heard, guiding us with sacred text. Journey's long, but we're all blessed. Everybody in here blessed. I'm 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 blessed. Chats alive with praise and hope. Together we find ways to cope. Dapper star with faith so true. Pastor leads us, see it through. Morning coffee, Bible in hand, spreading love across the land. Saxophone melodies play slow. In this digital pew we grow. Everybody in here blessed. I'm blessed. 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 Morning coffee, Bible in hand, spreading love across the land. Saxophone melodies play slow.
Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in. Hope you're having a blessed day. Let me just check this desktop audio. I did turn that down. Good. So if we go with stuff, we shouldn't blow up the sound. All right. We sounded good. Galaxy, good to see you, friend. Good to see you. Who else was here? Star Fox 22. Good morning, friend. Good to have the two of you in here. So, Sis Pineapple, welcome in. Welcome in. So, I'm still got to get used to the new song. because I'm so used to the old song in my ears that I knew, oh, this is how much time I've got left, and I'm almost ready to go. And also, I think I cut off the intro outro piece of it, where here's the credit of what the song is, and that to give credit to the artist who made it. I didn't put all that in there, so maybe I need to add that little bit in there, make it just slightly longer, so that, because Tuesday, the ad was still rolling, and it had like 5-10 seconds, at least it told me that. It had like 5-10 seconds left, and I'm like, so I'm going to end and go to screen in the middle of the ad, which didn't make sense. So, but I do have a couple of new hats, like, you know, we might need to add a couple of new hats, and so that'll take me 2 months to get to it. Anyway, Gamer Night, welcome in, friend. Good to have you here. So, if you guys haven't been around in the last week, let me show you how the baby koi are doing. Let me show you the baby koi are getting bigger. They're getting bigger. They're looking good. I'm thinking maybe another 3 weeks, and I could start trying to maybe sell them. I know if I wait till they're fully like 3 to 4 inches, I'll probably do better, which might be the end of July. But anyway, they're getting bigger, and if all of those grow, I will have too many to maintain myself. So we'll see how that happens. We'll see how it happens. Sis, I did wonder why we caught you still brushing your teeth and combing your hair. Hap, welcome in. Good to see you. Let's just take a look around every place else. Ooh, another cloudy morning, but look at how calm the lake is. We have a high pressure system sitting overhead, and that's going to be in the 90s here today. That's further north. They might hit 90 there. And out at the pond, look, you can see here's one of the little guys right there that got moved out from last year's spawn. So those are about, there's another one, about 8 inches, 10 inches, maybe the max of one of those smaller ones. These bigger ones are all over 2 feet. I would say. Maybe there's a few that just on the border of 2 feet. And there's the guppies. There's the guppies. So I was trying to grow some plants in there that I would hope would help with filtration. And the idea was really to have them in with the koi, because the koi have problems, and the chlorophyll has just filled the tank with this yellow-green hue, and I'm not liking that. So I might just take those plants out. I might just take them out. Luces, welcome in this morning. Oh, and this camera freezes because it's the furthest away from the Wi-Fi. And we're back to the baby koi. All right. There we go. Tour is over. The tour is over. By the way, let me go here a second. Merch. I got some merch. Want you to see this, because this is cool. I'm just saying, this is a really cool shirt. So let me show you the back. Okay, so it's at the Church Digital. At the Church Digital. So thechurch.digital/merch. You can go get this shirt, which in Discord as in heaven. I just think that's really cool. So I'm sporting the merch today. Sporting the merch. Let's get our browser up and running. I can just show you what else there is too, I suppose. We can't reach the site. because I mistyped. Don't you understand how that works? Intuit what I meant. Johnny, welcome in, friend. Welcome in. So here it is. You can get a mug with that in Discord as it is in heaven. You can get a sticker. You can get shirts in white or black, or I went with the blue. I liked the blue. And then I've got another one. I've got this one as well, which is in black. But here's the logo. The movement has begun. So that's for all of us doing digital ministry. It's really what this is, helping to support. And if you're gamer centric, yeah, on Discord it is in heaven. I think is pretty cool idea image. And if you're into hoodies, I am not. There is a hoodie as well. So, anyway, there you go. I just figured I'd share that because I'm sporting the swag today. It looks really cool. Idea of on Discord is in heaven or online is in heaven. Yeah. That would be cool as well. The reason we went with Discord is because we started a Discord server for our online community where we are gathering all the people together from the community of people who are doing ministry stuff. So some of you who are in my channel are over there. Different streamers I have been invited over there or have gone over there, heard me talk about the church digital and got invites and are over there. I should have done this. I didn't think about it. So by the way, if you know God Squad Church, okay, if you know God Squad Church, they were over yesterday at 6 p.m. for the podcast interview that will come out on Monday. So they were live over on TCD. Let me see what that command still has. Yeah, it is. It's still the church.digital is a great place to connect. It's not the Discord server, but anyway, they were over on the Discord server for the church digital and recorded episode 300 of the podcast with Alan Hirsch, and then with some other people that I know who were doing digital ministry. Not all Twitch streamers, but anyway, that's a little bit of what's going on when I'm not online. That's a little bit of what I'm doing when I'm not online here on Twitch. Hanging out over there and doing things and still trying to work out everything to help make it an active place for people to come and hang out throughout the day. So we're still working on that, which I haven't successfully done at all on my own Discord channel. We get posts on there, but it's not a place that people are going daily and checking. And I don't know if that's well, I don't know how to effectively make that change. So, learn it from other people. Anyway, we have been journeying through the Bible, and we're a little behind. It is the 20th, and so that means we should be down here in our reading. And we're up here. We're up here. So, I'm all good with that. I am perfectly fine with that. If we get caught up, we'll get caught up when we get caught up. And not before. So we're in 2 Samuel 13 today. We obviously won't end up getting caught up today, but that's all good. It'll be fine. I do want to give just a warning. Not a great topic for us today. But here's one of the things that to me signifies how honest we can take the Bible, because the Bible does not hide the bad stuff that people do. People do bad, horrible things, and the Bible includes them. It doesn't say, oh, well, whitewash that. Like, this is one of those stories that should be whitewashed. Like, we should exclude it. However, it is awful. Tuesday, I say last time, Tuesday, we had a different awful story. So, if you want to talk about the idea of the fact of the passages that talk about those that love God showing mercy and kindness for 1,000 generations and 1,000 generations, symbolic, or visiting the iniquity of those on the third and fourth generation. It's not punishing the third and fourth generation. It is the consequences of the sin that you do will be seen, and you will witness it in your third and fourth generation after you. And that's what we're going to see here. So if you weren't here last time, we had David and Bathsheba. We have the sin of David that took place, where he's not where he's supposed to be as a king, doing what a king is supposed to do, and then he gets himself in trouble. Then he tries to cover up the trouble, and he can't effectively get the trouble covered up. So he leads down the path of doing more heinous acts to cover up what he's already done, and the consequences are going to ripple through his family. The consequences are going to ripple through the family. You do see generational problems even today. Poor upbringing and problems tend to beget poor upbringing in the same patterns. Yeah, I see the visiting is more of, for instance, this. Not that this is a great example, but I think it's an example that everyone can see and understand. If I go to prison, it makes no difference what I go to prison for. If I go to the prison while I have a child between the ages of, let's just say elementary school, right? I go to prison, they're maybe 10 and under. I'm not there the rest of their schooling years. Can I have a relationship with them? Sure. Is it a good one? No. Very difficult to have a relationship with someone who's in prison. Are they going to understand? Are they going to appreciate? No. Are the chances of them getting and following in my footsteps good? Yes. Yes. And it doesn't matter why I go to prison or to go to jail. If I'm gone for 8 to 10, I'm not even going to say the 20. If I'm gone for 8 to 10 years of someone's life, it's going to impact their life. Even now, if I went away, it wouldn't have the same impact because my oldest is 30. So if I went away now, they're grown, they've already established, it would impact our relationship directly. But if they had kids, it would then impact them. It would impact any grandkids. So you see how you can have something you do have consequences that ripple throughout your family. What we're going to witness is the example of the sin having ripple effects that David is going to witness. David is going to witness. Yeah, it says pineapple. Even in my own family, you see the patterns there. I guess I broke the mold by getting to know Jesus at an early age. Yeah. Well, and I think that's where, I don't think it's not like a guarantee. It is, here's the principle. Those who are doing wrong, who are out to do wrong, it's going to impact third and fourth generation, and you will see consequences in your lifetime, in your children and their descendants. And so, yeah, you can break that mold and pattern. You absolutely can break that mold and pattern. This isn't a punishment. That's how we read it. But God says in other places, He doesn't punish. He does not punish children for the sins of the parents. So what I see that then meaning is where it's saying He visits the iniquity. He sees that the consequences are there in the lives of. Okay, enough intro, enough warning. This is going to get really ugly. So if you don't like the topic, I understand if you leave or if you're lurking, or the other side of it, if this is really heinous and you're like, I got lots of questions and lots of problems with it, jump in the chat. Okay. Now, David's son Absalom had a beautiful sister named Tamar. Okay. We've had a Tamar already show up. The Tamar that showed up previously was Judah's daughter-in-law, and that whole story of first husband died, second husband evil, and Judah wouldn't give a third husband, and then Tamar tricks him, and she ends up having his kids. So we've got that. So as soon as we have Tamar mentioned, our mind should be going back to that horrible story. Not because anything she did, but because of that story. Okay. In the course of time, David's son Amnon fell madly in love with her. But Amnon became frustrated because he was so lovesick over his sister Tamar, for she was a virgin, and Amnon, it seemed, out of question to do anything to her. Okay. I don't know if I've looked up these names. This is a good time to look up names and see. We got Absalom, Tamar, Amnon. Is there something in the meaning of these names? Okay. I don't think we looked them up when he got kids' names mentioned earlier. But when this is saying that Absalom has a sister and Amnon is not the sister of. So this is saying Absalom and Tamar have the same mother. Amnon has a different mother but the same father. So David is the father of all of them. Okay, I think I've got my volume turned down here. Warning if I don't, and then let me know. I think I got it set.
Strong's H53. Avi Shalom. Avi Shalom.
Ooh, my father is peace. So, if my father is peace, that could mean two different things. I am like my father of peace. Wait a minute, David's a man of war. Or it could mean something more. Oh, that's right. Tamar means palm tree. Tamar means palm tree. And Amnon is faithful. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. The guy's name is Faithful. The dude is anything but faithful. Oh, my goodness. So, my father is peace is going to go to war with Faithful, who is unfaithful. Do you get the irony here? This is an ironic story, okay? Tamar's palm tree, I don't think that's impacting the story from that perspective, but it is a throwback to, hey, something bad happened the last time a person with this name showed up. So let's see what happens. Okay. Now, Amnon had a friend named Jonadab. Okay. I forgot about that. Let's look that up. Just look that up. Because maybe the friend's name tells us something too. God is willing. Okay.
Strong's H3122. Yonadav. Yonadav.
Oh, Yonah. Like Jonah.
Second entry.
Jonadab.
Yehonadav.
Okay.
Yehonadav.
So.
Third entry. Yonadav. Yonadav.
Okay, I'm not hearing a difference between those, dude. Just saying. So, we have faithful and my father is peace. So, Faithful had a friend named Yonadab, the son of David's brother Shimei. Okay, so this is a cousin. Jonadab was a very crafty man. He asked Amnon, he asked Faithful, "Why are you, the king's son, so depressed every morning? Can't you tell me?" So Amnon said to him, "I am in love with a palm tree." I'm in love with the palm tree. The sister of my brother, my father, is peace. Jonadab replied to him, "Lie down on your bed and pretend to be sick." Okay, so the first thing he advises is deception. When your father comes to see you, say to him, okay, so dad's going to come see you when you're sick. Look at this. Like, this tells us something about dad, right? But the deception is going on. The deception is happening to dad. Notice that. The deception is to happen to dad. "Please let my sister Tamar come in so she can fix food for me. Let her prepare the food in my sight so I can watch. Then I will eat from her hand. Okay. I'm thinking this is creepy. Now, maybe it's not. Okay? Maybe this is a common thing to request watching someone fix food for you. But I'm not feeling it. I haven't studied that. I haven't looked into that detail. I need to ask somebody who knows more in regards to that. Whether I should be getting creepy vibes. I know I should be getting creepy vibes because it's his half sister. So, but he's using dad. So Amnon lay down and pretended to be sick. When the king came in to see him, Amnon said to the king, "Please let my sister Tamar come in so she can make a couple of cakes in my sight. Then I will eat from her hand." Okay, so how is this going to make you better? How is this going to make you better? Like, dude, I can send anybody in here. So David sent Tamar to the house, saying, "Please go to the house of Amnon, your brother, and prepare some food for him." So Tamar went to the house of Amnon, her brother, who was lying down. She took the dough, kneaded it, made some cakes while he watched, and baked them. Okay, so I'm not sure how you bake them in the room, but maybe there's a fireplace kind of setup. I don't know. But when she took the pan and set it before him, he refused to eat. Instead, Amnon said, "Get everyone out of here." So everyone left. What's the footnote on that? Few medieval manuscripts support the LXX and Vulgate reading of Hipha, and they remove everyone. Rather, the Masoretic text, they left. The verb would then match the... Okay, so this is just a... Okay, don't need that. Then Amnon said to Tamar, "Bring the cakes into the bedroom." Oh, okay. So it sounds like he's watching her in the kitchen. If he's now bring the cakes in the bedroom. "Then I will eat from your hand." So Tamar took the cakes that she had prepared and brought them to her brother Amnon in the bedroom. As she brought them to him to eat, he grabbed her and said to her, "Come on, get in bed with me, my sister." Dude, no. But she said to him, "No, my brother, don't humiliate me. This just isn't done in Israel. Don't do this foolish thing. How can I ever be rid of my humiliation?" So notice how wise she is. How can I be rid of this humiliation? If you do this, the humiliation will stay on me. And this is not a thing that is done in Israel. You don't force yourself on people. And you would be considered one of the fools in Israel. So it'll humiliate me. You will be a fool. Like, her concern is the house of Israel, father's household, the people of Israel. We don't do this. This would humiliate me. So if you really love me, you would not do this. And also, this will make you out to be a fool. Just speak to the king, for he will not withhold me from you. So, hey, if you really are in love with me, ask the king, we'll get married. I know that seems really weird and creepy, but marrying half-sisters or cousins in ancient times was not the same kind of creepiness that we might see, and that still might happen in some places today. So she's just like, hey, if this is what you want, let's get married. But don't do the evil thing you're going to do. But he refused to listen to her. He overpowered her and humiliated her by raping her. Humiliated her and lay with her. See, I'm sorry, I like the less harsh language of lay with her, but it doesn't change what he did. Then Amnon greatly despised her. His disdain towards her surpassed the love that he had previously felt towards her. Amnon said to her, "Get up and leave." So he does an evil act. His view of her changes after he does the evil act to her. This is horrible. She warns him. He doesn't listen. Now, I'm guessing that all of the servants or whoever was there did out of respect for being the king's children, that they listened to them instead of staying. But why wasn't one of them perhaps close enough by listening at the door that when, I'm just assuming she cried out because she's saying don't do this thing, so I'm assuming she's crying out for help, that why doesn't someone come in to help is what I'm wondering. But anyway, it didn't happen. But she said to him, "No, I won't, for sending me away now would be worse than what you did to me earlier. So no, I can't leave. That'll be a worse humiliation than the one you just did." But he refused to listen to her. He called the personal attendant and said to him, "Take this woman out of my sight and lock the door behind her." So get rid of her and lock the door. Now she was wearing a long robe, for that is what the king's virgin daughters used to wear. So Amnon's attendant removed her and bolted the door behind her. Then Tamar put ashes on her head, tore the long robe she was wearing. She put her hands on her head and went on her way, wailing as she went. So she is symbolically showing everyone that something heinous has happened to her. All you need to do is look at the garment that she's wearing, the sackcloth and ashes, the torn garment, her wailing out. Everyone knows something horrible happened. Her brother Absalom said to her, "Was Amnon your brother with you? Now be quiet, my sister. He is your brother. Don't take it so seriously." Tamar, devastated, lived in the house of Absalom. Let's see what this is. Don't take it so seriously. That's a weird way to say it. Don't set your heart on these things. Oh, okay. Everywhere else, the phrase means to disregard or not pay attention to something. It is a callous thing to say to Tamar, but to the degree that what he had said becomes known, it misleads people from understanding that he is personally plotting revenge. Sorry. So he is downplaying it to her. He's trying to console her. He's trying to console her about what happened. I would say he's not planning revenge yet. I think he's anticipating Dad to take action. I think that's what he's expecting. Now, King David heard about all these things and was very angry. But Absalom said nothing to Amnon, either good or bad. Yet Absalom hated Amnon because he had humiliated her sister. I'm watching you, people. Welcome in. So, David is very angry. And oh, wait. The older English versions, but he did not grieve the spirit of Amnon, his son, because he loved him since he was his firstborn. That's the LXX. Okay. I think that's a version I'm used to. Let me just check that in the text here a minute. So 21. Let's see what I have here in the... He was very wroth. Wroth. Hara.
Strong's H 2734. Chara.
To be hot. Yeah, I like that. To be hot. Incensed. Furious. Oh, yeah. Okay. 2 years later. Okay. So David is very angry. But he doesn't do anything. He does nothing. He has 2 years to take action. 2 years to change and make things right. Okay. We should be thinking about, I think, another story where Dinah, the sister of the 12 brothers, the 12 sons of Jacob, is violated, is wronged, and Dad does not act. So what happens? One of the sons, 2 actually, but one of the sons, these sons plot to get revenge. on the man and the family of those who did it. Here we have, again, Dad not taking action as he should as the head of household. Now, in the other case, Jacob is worried about retribution and violation and all of those things, and the guy there did the horrible thing but then tried to make it right. Here, the guy does the horrible thing and he makes it worse. And David does nothing. What happens next is because of David's inaction. Why is he not willing to act? Well, I think it has to do with the problem he had with Bathsheba and Uriah. That he did something bad, he tried to cover it up, but here what he should be doing or could be doing would be going to the priests, would be going for advice, going to the Lord, asking how he should deal with this circumstance, how he should deal with this situation, how he should restore this problem that has happened. We don't see any action. We just see silence for 2 years. Okay. 2 years later, Absalom's sheep shearers were in Baal Hazor. Oh, this is just giving us a map. Near Ephraim, Absalom invited all the king's sons. Then Absalom went to the king and said, "My shearers have begun their work. Let the king and his servants go with me." But the king said to Absalom, "No, my son, we shouldn't go at all. We shouldn't burden you in that way." Though Absalom pressed him, the king was not willing to go. Instead, David blessed him. So, Absalom is trying to get his dad to come to celebrate, I'm guessing, with the sheep shearers. I'm guessing they're going to party when all the stuff has come in. Let's see what they actually do. But whatever festivities he's doing, he wants Dad to come, and Dad doesn't do it. No, I'll bless you instead. Then Absalom said, "If you will not go, then let my brother Amnon go with us." The king replied to him, "Why should he go with you?" When Absalom pressed him, he sent Amnon and all the king's sons along with him. So, Dad is figuring something must be up. Why are you asking for him? But this could have been avoided if you'd have gone, Dad. Now he's asking for Amnon to go. But Dad says, all your brothers can go with you. All your brothers can go with you. Absalom instructed his servants, "Look, when Amnon is drunk, and I say to you, strike Amnon down, kill him then and there. Don't fear. Is it not I who is giving you the instructions? Be strong and courageous. And become sons of valor." Okay, that's interesting. Why would you choose to be strong and courageous here? Oh, I want to go look that phrase up and see if it is. I'm going to skip it. I might be reading into that one because that's not a normal translation, I think. So Absalom's servants did to Amnon exactly what Absalom had instructed. Then all the king's sons got up, each one rode away on his mule and fled. So brother kills brother in front of other brothers. Other brothers are like, "Peace out, dude." Not sticking around to see what happens. While they were still on their way, the following report reached David: "Absalom has killed all the king's sons, not one of them is left." Wait, that's not what happened. Then the king stood up, tore his garments, and lay down on the ground. All his servants were standing there with torn garments as well. Okay, so this said all the king's sons. Would Solomon be there too? Jonadab, the son of David's brother, Shammai, said, "My lord should not say they have killed all the young men who are the king's sons, for only Amnon is dead." This was Absalom had asked about from the day that Amnon humiliated his sister Tamar. So, Jonadab, who enticed the whole situation with Tamar, happens to know that this was the plan of Absalom since 2 years ago. Now don't let my lord the king be concerned about the report that is coming in. All the king's sons are dead. It is only Amnon is dead. So here's the guy who's conniving. Is he being honest here or not? I don't know. Hey, welcome in. Shaihoru. Welcome in, mage. I like how the okay. I like how in Exodus still things bad about God are there literally saved them from slavery of Egypt and saved them from their attacks when they leave Egypt. Yes, the nation of Israel. Oh, don't worry about it. Lucis likes to shout out everybody. We shout out everybody. Everybody gets a shout out. Get a shout out for hanging out. Yeah, it is amazing how this is to me. It is amazing how God loves anyone. It doesn't matter how bad you are. The fact that he loves someone who does bad things just amazes me. And now we're reading a story here, not like the Exodus, but different, about people doing what is right in their own eyes, like the time when there was no king. It feels like we're going back to a time when there was no king. So what I don't know is Jonadab got privileged information and knows this is truly a rumor and it's false? Or is he lying? Is he lying about this because he's got some other motive? Anyway, in the meantime, Absalom fled. When the servant who was the watchman looked up, he saw many people coming from the west on the road beside the hill. Jonadab said to the king, "Look, the king's sons have come. It's just as I said." So Absalom flees. All the brothers are fleeing. They're running to the king. They're running to dad. Just as he finished speaking, the king's sons arrived, wailing and weeping. The king and all his servants wept loudly as well. But Absalom fled and went to King Talmai, son of Ammihud of Geshur. And David grieved over his son every day. So he doesn't grieve. He's angry. Notice the difference. He is angry with what Amnon did to Tamar, but he doesn't grieve what happened to Tamar. Now, I don't know if I'm making a distinction there that doesn't need to be made or not. I'm just looking at what it says. And here, he's grieving over his dead son, which would be natural. After Absalom fled and went to Geshur, he remained there for 3 years. The king longed to go to Absalom, for he had since been consoled over the death of Amnon. So, 3 years. He has now been self-exile. The king wants to go to him. He's been consoled. He has resolved the issue, but he doesn't go. Notice, he wouldn't go with Absalom to the sheep shearing thing and the festival or the party that he was going to throw. So instead he takes out a plot. Now dad won't go again. So dad wouldn't go, dad wouldn't take action, dad wouldn't take action, dad wouldn't go, dad doesn't take action. He doesn't go after him for 3 years. Now he wants to console, but he won't go do that. Like, we're just adding to inaction. So what we had in the previous story, I just want to keep paralleling these two things, okay? We have David seeing something, David taking action, because David's a man of action. So he sees something, and he takes it. And then there's a problem, and he takes action. And then it didn't work, so he has another plan, and he takes action. And then there is the consequences, and what does he do? He fasts and prays to take action to try to change things. But after that had no effect, we see inaction from David. We do not see David taking action. Now Joab, son of Zerai, realized that the king longed to see Absalom. So Joab, remember this is the head of his army, Joab sent to Tekoa and brought from there a wise woman. He told her, pretend to be in mourning and put on garments for mourning. Don't anoint yourself with oil. Instead, act like a woman who has been in mourning for the dead for some time. Go to the king and speak to him in the following fashion. Then Joab told her what to say. Okay, that is interesting. The Hifil verb form indicates pretending rather than genuine action. Oh, okay, that's cool. I was wondering though, a wise woman here. What it meant to be a wise woman. I wondered what that was, but there's no footnote on that. Okay. So the Tekoan woman went to the king. She bowed down with her face to the ground. In deference to him, she said, "Please help me, O king." The king replied to her, "What do you want?" She answered, "I am a widow. My husband is dead. Your servant has 2 sons. When the 2 of them got into a fight in the field, there was no one present who could intervene. One of them struck the other and killed him. Now the entire family has raised up against your servant, saying, 'Turn over the one who struck down his brother, so that we can execute him and avenge the death of his brother whom he killed. In so doing, we will also destroy the heir. They want to extinguish my remaining coal, leaving no one on the face of the earth to carry on the name of my husband.'" So, BRB, awesome. So this sounds a whole lot like Nathan coming with a story and the king going to be deceived into a decision he doesn't know is coming. Then the king told the woman, "Go to your home. I will give instructions concerning your situation." The Tekoan woman said to the king, "My lord the king, let all blame fall on me and the house of my father, but let the king and his throne be innocent." The king said, "Bring to me whoever speaks to you, and he won't bother you again." She replied, "In that case, let the king invoke the name of the Lord your God, so that the avenger of blood may not add to the killing. Then they will not destroy my son." He replied, "As surely as the Lord lives, not a single hair on your son's head will fall to the ground." Okay, why is this saying, I'm wondering if there's something hidden in Hebrew. On your sons. Okay, nope. Then the woman said, "Please permit your servant to speak to the Lord the king about another matter." He replied, "Tell me." The woman said, "Why have you devised something like this against God's people? When the king speaks in this fashion, he makes himself guilty, for the king has not brought back the one he has banished. Certainly," okay, so we did not see that he banished him. Okay, we did not see that he banished Absalom. Absalom fled. "Certainly we must die and are like water spilled on the ground that cannot be gathered up again. But God does not take away life. Instead, he devises ways for the banished to be restored." Isn't that beautiful? God devises ways for the banished to be restored. Oh, I love that. "I have not come to speak with the Lord the king about this matter, because the people have made me fearful. But your servant said, 'I will speak to the king. Perhaps the king will do what his female servant asks.' Yes, the king may listen and deliver his female servant from the hand of a man who seeks to remove both me and my son from the inheritance God has given." So your servant said, "May the word of the Lord the king be my security, for my lord the king is like the angel of God when it comes to deciding between right and wrong. May the Lord the king may the Lord your God be with you." Then the king replied to the woman, "Don't hide any information from me when I question you." The woman said, Let my lord the king speak." The king said, "Did Joab put you up to all this?" So he's like, I know who did this. I know who did this. The woman answered, "As surely as you live, my lord the king, there is no deviation to the right or the left from all that my lord the king has said. For your servant Joab gave me instructions. He has put all these words in your servant's mouth. Your servant Joab did this so as to change the situation. But my Lord has wisdom like the angel of God knows, and knows everything that is happening in the land." It's an interesting phrase, like the angel of God knows. Then the king said to Joab, "All right, I will do this thing. Go and bring back the young man Absalom." Then Joab bowed down with his face to the ground and thanked the king. Joab said, "Today your servant knows that I have found favor in your sight, my lord the king, because the king has granted the request of your servant." Okay, so the king's military commander is wise enough to know that it is not good for one of the sons to be on outs with the king. Why? Because this could lead to civil war. This could lead to civil war. We've got a son who acted. After 2 years of waiting, he planned vengeance. He got it. Now he's been in exile for 3 years. And now after that period of time, the king's heart has changed. So now it's time to act. Joab takes action because the king won't take action. So he's plotted this whole thing to get Absalom back. Let's see how this plays out. So Joab got up and went to Geshur and brought Absalom back to Jerusalem. He doesn't send anyone else. He does it personally. But the king said, "Let him go over to his own house. He may not see my face." So Absalom went over to his own house. He did not see the king's face. So the king wants to go to him. Absalom devises a plan to make restoration. The king won't see his face. This just doesn't seem right. It doesn't seem right. Okay, so let me just do an aside here for a minute. Let's just do an aside here for a minute. There are those people who, if your kids do certain things, doesn't matter what it is, there's a whole list of things that if they fall into that list of things, they believe that you should ostracize your children, kick them out of the house, banish them. Here is a story essentially of that. Of, well, what's the worst thing that could happen? One of your children kills another one of your children. And you ostracize them, you send them away, you break relationship. Now there's a chance for restoration. You allow them to come back and live in the community, but not see your face. They are kept from you. Like, this can't get better, can it? Is this restoration? No. Now in all Israel, everyone acknowledged that there was no man as handsome as Absalom. From the soles of his feet to the top of his head, he was perfect in appearance. That is so weird to say. From the soles of his feet. Oh, he did not have a blemish. Okay, I gotcha. When he would shave his head at the end of every year, he used to shave his head, for it grew too long. And he would shave it. He used to weigh the hair on his head at 3 pounds, according to the king's weight. Absalom had 3 sons and 1 daughter, whose name was Tamar. She was a very attractive woman. Okay, so he's got 3 sons and a daughter, and he names the daughter. Yeah, he was fine. I like that. He was fine. He names the daughter in honor of his sister. We have not heard more about sister yet. Has sister had anything happen with sister yet? We don't know the ages of these sons and daughters. Okay. I just wanted to look into the shaving thing here. It was heavy upon him. Okay. I don't think I was looking for the footnote to say shave. I think it's a haircut. I don't think he's shaving the head bald. That's not a common thing that they would have done. But it's so heavy and long, he has to keep cutting it to, I'm going to guess, shoulder length. He's cutting everything past the shoulders, is my guess. Absalom lived in Jerusalem for 2 years without seeing the king's face. Okay. Let's add up some time now. We've got 2 years since the heinous act that Absalom takes vengeance. We have 3 years in exile, and now we have 2 years not seeing the king's face but living in Jerusalem. 7 years. 7 years since the heinous act took place. That's the totality of time necessary for completeness. So, then Absalom sent a message to Joab asking him to send him to the king, but Joab was not willing to come to him. So he sent a second message to him, but he still was not willing to come to him. So he said to his servants, look, Joab has a portion of a field adjacent to mine, and he has some barley there. Go set it on fire. So Absalom's servants set Joab's field, a portion of the field, on fire. Okay, like, I'm sending to you twice. You won't come. I'm going to get your attention. You're going to come. I'm going to set your field on fire. Then Joab got up and came to Absalom's house. He said to him, why did your servant set my portion of field on fire? Absalom said to Joab, look, I sent a message you saying, come here so I can send you to the king with the message. Why have I come from Gershon? It would be better for me if, if I were still there. Let me now see the king's face. If, if I am at fault, let him put me to death. So he's like, this is torture, not being able to be in relationship with my father. I would rather go to him and be put to death than to continue in the circumstance the way it is. If I have guilt, I've been living in the guilt. And if I'm guilty, put me to death. If I'm not, this needs to change. Joab went to the king and informed him. The king summoned Absalom, and he came to the king. Absalom bowed down before the king with his face towards the ground, and the king kissed him. Okay, this sounds good. Like, he finally are going to get some resolution. He's got a request. He's plotted to get into the good graces. He's working on this. Is it going to take? Sometime later, Absalom managed to acquire a chariot and horses, as well as 50 men to serve him as royal guard. Okay, so it's sometime later. We don't know how much later. Now, Absalom used to get up early and stand beside the road that led to the city gate. Whenever anyone came by who had a complaint to bring to the king for arbitration, Absalom would call out to him, "What city are you from?" The person would answer, "I am your servant. Am from one of the tribes of Israel." Absalom would say to him, "Look, your claims are legitimate and appropriate, but there is no representative of the king who will listen to you." Absalom would say, if only they would make me a judge in the land. Then everyone who had a judicial complaint could come to me, and I would make sure he receives a just settlement. Okay, so it seems like restoration could have happened here. But now we see Absalom is taking actions counter to that. Let's look for, is there more information of David not being in relationship with him? Because it says he's hanging out outside the city. Why would the king not know this? When someone would approach and bow down before Absalom, would extend his hand and embrace and kiss him. Absalom acted this way toward everyone in Israel who came to the king for justice. In this way, Absalom won the loyalty of the citizens of Israel. So he's out there acting as judge. After 4 years, Absalom said to the king, "Let me go and repay my vow that I made to the Lord while I was in Hebron. For I made a vow while I was living in Gershom in Iran. If, the Lord really does allow me to return to Jerusalem, I will serve the Lord." The king replied to him, "Go in peace." Oh, my father is peace, is going to go in peace. So Absalom got up and went to Hebron. Okay. 4 years later. 4 years later. Then Absalom sent spies throughout all the tribes of Israel and said, "When you hear the sound of the horn, you may assume that Absalom rules in Hebron." Now 200 men had gone with Absalom from Jerusalem. Since they were invited, they went naively and were unaware of what Absalom was planning. While he was offering sacrifices, Absalom sent for Ahithophel, the Gilonite, David's advisor, to come from the city of Gilo. The conspiracy was gaining momentum and the people were starting to side with Absalom. Okay. Ahithophel. That's a name. Okay, so 2 Samuel 15. And verse 12. Ahithophel.
Strong's H302. Achitophel.
Okay, my brother is foolish. While he was offering sacrifices, my father is peace, sent for my brother is foolish. The advisor of King David. David's advisor is my brother is foolish. Absalom is sending for my brother is foolish. Okay, we miss that this is, in a way, a reference back to Amnon, who acted foolishly against Tamar. He has been the fool. Wow. Then a messenger came to David and reported, "The men of Israel are loyal to Absalom." So David said to all his servants who were with him in Jerusalem, "Come on, let's escape. Otherwise, no one will be delivered from Absalom. Go immediately, or else he will quickly overtake us and bring disaster on us and kill the city's residents with the sword." The king's servants replied to the king, "We will do whatever our lord the king decides." Oh, we got an ad coming in. Okay. Stretch break. Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba. Let's go check out the baby koi and give him a little bit of snacky snack. Hope you can see that falling. Boy, they get active once I walk over there. They dart all over the place. Look at them go. All right. So, baby koi, look at them. Aren't they just fantastic? I think they're just fantastic. I was trying to see the guppies. They're all at the top. Let me just pan this up a bit. If it will respond, it's frozen. Well, perhaps we'll have to do it later. Okay. All right. So we have Absalom plotting, and David again isn't going to take action against his son. This is the problem here, is inaction. Inaction becomes the problem. So now we're going to flee. He's not going to defend himself. He's not going to defend his city. He's not going to take his position as king. The people love Absalom. Absalom has been working at this for 4 years. He's been plotting to get the love of the people. He's got the love of the people. you know what David could do? He could summon Absalom. He could hand over the kingship to him. He could do that. He could just peacefully say, I'm no longer fit to be king. I'm going to pass it on to you, my son. We knew Amnon was the oldest. It said that. I don't know if Absalom is the next oldest. I'm going to guess that. I know somewhere it gives us the genealogy, but I don't know it well enough to just say off the top of my head. Okay. So the king and all the members of his royal court set out on foot, though the king left behind 10 concubines to attend the palace. Why are you leaving behind women to attend the palace? Oh, hey!
Motor skills just followed.
Motor skills, welcome in. Appreciate the follow, friend. Thank you. Where was I at? Lost my place. Oh, there it is. 10 concubines behind to attend the palace. That just seems like a bad idea. Why are you leaving them behind to attend the palace? The king and all the people set out on foot, pausing at a spot some distance away. Oh, I will. Thank you. Thanks for coming in. Pausing at a spot some distance away, all the servants were leaving with him, along with the Kerethites, all the Pelethites, and all the Gittites. Some 600 men who had come on foot from Gath. They were leaving with the king. Okay, so let's just look at the numbers here. Let's just look at the numbers. It said there were 400 men that were with Absalom, and here it says there are 600 men with the king, and the king is fleeing. The king has a palace, the king has a city, the king has men, and the king is fleeing. The king doesn't want to go to war with his son. Then the king said to Ittai, the Gittite, "Why should you come with us? Go back and stay with the new king. You are a foreigner and an exile from your own country. It seems as if, if you arrived just yesterday. Today, should I make you wander around by going with us? I go where I must, but as for you, go back and take your men with you. May genuine, loyal love protect you." So, is this a lack of trust? Because the Kerethites and the Pelethites are going with. Now the Gittites is like, yeah, you can go back. You can go back. I'm wondering if the Gittites are what those from Gath are called. Not Gathites, but Gittites. Because David went to Gath and hung out there for a while. So that would make sense. Refugees from there would come and visit him and try to stay with him. Anyway, he's sending them back. But Ittai replied to the king. You know what? I need to go look that name up now that he's becoming more into the story. Okay. 21. What is your name? Ittai? Ittai?
Strong's H 863. Ittai. Ittai.
With me. He's a tag along.
The form just below that. Ethai.
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 But with me replied the king, "As surely as the Lord lives, and as my lord the king lives, wherever my lord the king is, whether it means death or life, there I will be as well." So David said to with me, "Come along then." So with me, the Gittite, went along, accompanied by all his men and all the dependents who were with him. So with me goes with me. Like, oh, that's funny. All the land was weeping loudly as all those people were leaving. As the king was crossing over the Kidron Valley, all the people were leaving on the road that leads to the desert. Zadok and all the Levites who were with him were carrying the Ark of the Covenant. When they positioned the Ark of God, Abiathar offered sacrifices until all the people had finished leaving the city. So, The people are going with the king. The priests are going with the king. Again, why is the king fleeing? The king has the royal army to be able to call out. He could do something. He doesn't want to fight his son. He's willing to go through all this other. Also, why doesn't he go inquire of God? Should I go up against my son or not? He just doesn't want to clean up, doesn't want to do it. Straight up doesn't want to do it. Then the king said to Zadok, take the ark of God back to the city. If, if I find favor in the Lord's sight, he will bring me back and enable me to see both it and his dwelling place again. However, if he should say, I do not take pleasure in you, then he will deal with me in the way that he considers appropriate. Okay, this phrasing here sounds really like Eli. If you remember Eli back in 1 Samuel, when God says, hey, your sons are going to die, your sons are evil, he just kind of is meh about it. That's what this feels like too. It's like, well, if God doesn't bring me back, he doesn't bring me back. If he does, he does. It's just like resigned. That's what we have here now. We have the king that's just resigned to let his life unfold, to not take action, to not act as king since the death of his son. That's how we've seen it. Not Amnon, but the child that was just born to Bathsheba. The king said to Zadok Zadok the priest, are you a seer? Go back to the city in peace. Your son Ahimaaz and Abithar's son Jonathan may go with you. And Abithar, look, I will be waiting at the fjords of the desert until word from you reaches me. So Zadok and Abithar took the ark of God back to Jerusalem and remained there. So he's like, no, you guys don't come with me. He's not actually taking the priest. He just took the priest to offer sacrifices on their journey. So what this sounds like David's hope is, Absalom will come in. Absalom will realize there's no fight. Absalom will ask for his dad to return in peace. That's what I think David's thought is. He's going to avoid the conflict, see if we can come into a resolution. As David was going up the Mount of Olives, I believe this is the first reference to the Mount of Olives. Yeah, it's got to be the first reference to the Mount of Olives. He was weeping as he went. His head was covered and his feet were bare. All the people who were with him also had their heads covered and were weeping as they went. Now David had been told, Ahithophel has sided with the conspirators who are with Absalom. So David prayed, make the advice of Ahithophel foolish, O Lord. So make the advice of my brother is a fool foolish. I'm just thinking, should I take advice from a guy who, my brother is foolish? Well, maybe he's wise. That's why his name is my brother is foolish. I'm the wise one. My brother's foolish. I'm wise. Anyway, that is just cracking me up. So may the advice of my brother is foolish be foolish for my son, whose brother was foolish. When David reached the summit where he used to worship God, Hushai the Archite met him with his clothes torn and dirt on his head. Symbolism there. David said to him, if you leave with me, you will be a burden to me, but you will be able to counter the advice of Ahithophel. Sorry. That it's just not an easy name. If you go back to the city and say to Absalom, I will be your servant. O king, previously I was your father's servant, and now I will be your servant. Zadok and Abithar the priest will be there with you. So he's got another guy who's mourning. He's saying, go back. Everything you hear in the king's palace, you must tell Zadok and Abithar the priest. Furthermore, their two sons are there with them. Zadok's son, Ahimaaz and Abiathar's son Jonathan. You must send them to me with information you hear. So he's like, you'll be a burden to me if you come. You want to serve me? Go back, be my spy. So David's friend Hushai arrived in the city just as Absalom was entering Jerusalem. So look how close it is. So he's going back. Absalom's coming in. David has made it. He has fled. Ah, you got you clipped it. Thank you, friend. When David had gone a short way beyond the summit, Ziba, the servant of Mephibosheth, was there to meet him. He had a couple of donkeys that were saddled, and on them were 200 loaves of bread, 100 raisin cakes, and 100 baskets of summer fruit, and a container of wine. It's so funny, like, one container of wine, like, a big vat, a barrel. I mean, you're just talking a pouch. Anyway, we've had bread before, in reference a couple of times. I'm not going to go back through that. The king asked Ziba, "Why did you bring these things?" Ziba replied, "The donkeys are for the king's family to ride on. The loaves of bread and the summer fruit are for the attendants to eat, and the wine is for those who get exhausted in the desert." The king asked, "Where is your master's grandson?" Ziba replied to the king, "He remains in Jerusalem, for he said, 'Today the house of Israel will give back to me my grandfather's kingdom.'" The king said to Ziba, "Everything that was Mephibosheth's now belongs to you." Ziba replied, "I bow before you. May I find favor in the sight of my lord the king." Okay, so if you do not remember, Mephibosheth was brought in to the king. All that was Saul's, because he's Jonathan's son, all that was Saul's property was given to him, Mephibosheth, and Ziba, the servant of Mephibosheth, who has 15 kids who helped him, he was given in charge to care for the land. So now he's heard David is fleeing. He's going to honor the king. He's gone to honor the rightful king. And he says, "Why did you do this?" "Well, my master has decided he's going to take this opportunity to rise up against the king who showed him favor." So David's probably not going to take military actions against Mephibosheth. He strips him of property, though. Like, I saved your life. I honored you. I honored your father. I honored your grandfather. And you're going to treat me this way. Look, he's taking action here, but not against his son. I guess the only thing you'd say he's taking action against his son is to send a spy. Then King David reached Bahurim. There a man from Saul's extended family named Shimei, son of Gera, came out yelling curses as he approached. He threw stones at David and all King David's servants, as well as all the people and all the soldiers who were on his right and on his left. And he yelled curses. Shimei said, "Leave, leave, you man of bloodshed, you wicked man. The Lord has punished you for all the spilled blood of the house of Saul, in whose place you rule. Now the Lord has given the kingdom into the hand of your son Absalom. Disaster has overtaken you, for you are a man of bloodshed." Except David took no action against King Saul. He did not shed Saul's blood. But he's getting the curse. He's getting the curse. Boy, Shimei I know shows up somewhere else. That I think I should know that name, Shimei. Oh, I know who that is. That's one of the rabbis later on. Doesn't mean he's in scripture, but he's one of the rabbis later on that is a prominent figure before Jesus' time that people are siding with his interpretation of scripture. So, verse 7. Shimei.
Strong's H 8096. Shimei.
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 Sorry. Renown. So he's a renowned man. So that's funny. He's renowned. I don't remember him. He's a relative of Saul. So he's taken action. Does David act against him? Then Abishai, son of Zeruiah, said to the king, "Why should this dead dog curse my lord the king? Let me go over and cut off his head." But the king said, "What do we have in common, you sons of Zeruiah? If he curses because the Lord has said to him, 'Curse David,' who can say to him, 'Why have you done this?'" Then David said to Abishai and to all his servants, "My own son, my own flesh and blood, is trying to take my life. So also now this Benjamite. Leave him alone so that he can curse, for the Lord has spoken to him. Perhaps the Lord will notice my affliction, and this day grant me good in the place of his curse." So he's saying, if God's called him to curse me, I'm not taking action against this guy to curse me. And it'll come true. But if this is not of God, then God will notice the cursing upon me, and God will redeem me. It's like the curses mean nothing. They either are from God and they mean something, or they're not from God and they mean nothing. There was another name that was. All right, never mind. We'll just go on. So David and his men went on their way, but Shimei kept going along the side of the hill opposite him, yelling curses as he threw stones and dirt at them. The king and all the people who were with him arrived exhausted at their destination, where David refreshed himself. Now when Absalom and all the men of Israel arrived in Jerusalem, Ahithophel, my brother is fool, was with him. When David's friend Hushai the Archite came to Absalom, Hushai said to him, "Long live the king! Long live the king!" Absalom said to Hushai, "Do you call this loyalty to your friend? Why didn't you go with your friend?" Hushai replied to Absalom, "No, I will be loyal to the one whom the Lord, these people, and all the men of Israel have chosen. Moreover, whom should I serve? Should it not be his son? Just as I served your father, so I will serve you." So he's making an argument. Why am I here? Then Absalom said to Ahithophel, "Give us your advice. What should we do? Brother of fool, give us your advice." Ahithophel replied to Absalom, "Sleep with your father's concubines." Okay, so David prayed that Absalom would have bad advice. So he's just gotten advice. Is this good advice? Whom he left to care for the palace. All Israel will hear that you have made yourself repulsive to your father. Then your followers will be motivated to support you. So they pitched a tent for Absalom on the roof, and Absalom slept with his father's concubines in the sight of Israel. So we're doing this on the roof so that people can not witness what's happening, but witness the coming and going on the roof of all the concubines of my father. So he has given him advice that is going to stop any possibility of restoration. He's going to make him self-repulsive to his father. The act of sleeping with your father's concubines is an act. This is also what kings would do when another king left. So did David leave them behind as a test? Did David leave them behind knowing that this would be advice or potential advice and it would turn the people against him? Let's see if it does. I'm just saying, is that as a way of thinking about it? Oh, wait a minute. The whole sleeping with someone was the whole thing that started this circumstance and situation. And now Absalom is going to take the action of doing that. He's gotten foolish advice. His brother was foolish. Now he's getting advice from my brother was foolish. In those days, Ahithophel's advice was considered as valuable as a prophetic revelation. Both David and Absalom highly regarded the advice of Ahithophel. Above reproach, yeah. Oh, so there's also there's a sexual innuendo here of the word approach, to come to or approach, but it's also, so the advice is, oh wow, so they're doing a double entendre there. Of the advice is about approaching the women, but his advice is above reproach. They're really pointing out my brother is fool, has given foolish advice, which is what David prayed for. Ahithophel said to Absalom, "Let me pick out 12,000 men, then I will go and pursue David this very night. When I catch up with him, he will be exhausted and worn out. I will rout him, and the entire army that is with him will flee. I will kill only the king and bring the entire army back to you. In exchange for the life of the man you are seeking, you will get back everyone. The entire army will return unharmed." So, the fool is now taking and saying, I want to go do this. This seemed like a good idea to Absalom. Again, foolish advice. And to all the leaders of Israel. So Absalom said, "Call for Hushai the Archite, and let's hear what he has to say." So Hushai said to Absalom. Absalom said to him, "Here is what Ahithophel has advised. Should we follow his advice? If not, what if, if not, what would you recommend?" Okay, so Hushai, are you going to get found out here, or what are you going to do? Hushai replied to Absalom, Ahithophel's advice is not sound this time. Hushai went on to say, "You know your father and his men. They are soldiers and as dangerous as a bear out in the wild that has been robbed of her cubs. Your father is an experienced soldier. He will not stay overnight with his army at this very moment. He is hiding out in one of the caves or in some other place. If, if it should turn out that he attacks our troops first, whoever hears about it will say Absalom's army has been slaughtered. If, if that happens, the bravest soldiers, one who is lion-hearted, will virtually melt away. For all Israel knows that your father is a warrior and that those who are with him are brave. My advice, therefore, is this. Let all Israel from Dan to Beersheba, in number like the sand of the sea, be mustered to you, and you lead them personally into battle. We will come against him wherever he happens to be found. We will descend on him like the dew falls on the ground. Neither he nor any of his men who are with him will be spared alive. Not one of them. If, if he regroups in a city, all Israel will take up ropes to that city and drag it down to the valley so that not a single pebble will be left there. That's an interesting translation. A single pebble. Okay, so Hushai is going opposite direction. Hey, just let me go. I'll go alone. We'll just kill the king only, and we'll bring back. And he's going, nah. You got to remember your dad. He ain't giving up, and his men are loyal. They ain't letting you get him. So Hushai is speaking the truth. Then Absalom and all the men of Israel said, the advice of Hushai the Archite sounds better than the advice of Ahithophel. Now the Lord had deceived or decided to frustrate the sound advice of Ahithophel so that the Lord could bring disaster on Absalom. So actually, it's playing that he has given sound advice, but Hushai is going against it. Now, I don't know if this is saying had to frustrate the sound advice of Ahithophel so that Ahithophel didn't actually give sound advice. That could be it. The Lord decided to frustrate the sound advice of Ahithophel that he normally gives, so he actually gave bad advice. It could be saying it. He gave bad advice. He has listened to David. That's the point. Then Hushai reported to Zadok and Abithar, the priest, here is what Ahithophel has advised Absalom and the leaders of Israel to do, and here is what I have advised. Now send word quickly to David and warn him. Don't spend the night at the fjords of the wilderness tonight. Instead, be sure to cross over, or else the king and anyone else who is with him may be overwhelmed. Now Jonathan and Ahimaaz were staying in En-Rogel. A female servant would go and inform them, and they would then go and inform King David. It was not advisable for them to be seen going into the city, but a young man saw them on one occasion and informed Absalom. So the two of them quickly departed and went to the house of a man in Bahurim. There was a well in his courtyard, and they got down into it. His wife then took the covering and spread it over the top of the well and scattered some grain over it. No one was aware of what she had done. So they climbed down in the well. She puts the cover over it. She's scattering grain on top of it, I think in an attempt to make it look like it's unused. When the servants of Absalom approached the woman at her home, they asked, "Where is Ahimaaz and Jonathan?" The woman replied to them, "They crossed over the stream. Absalom's men searched, but they did not find them, so they returned to Jerusalem." After the men had left, Ahimaaz and Jonathan climbed out of the well. Then they left and informed King David. They advised David, "Get up and cross the stream quickly, for Ahithophel has devised a plan to catch you." So David and all the people who were with him got up and crossed the Jordan River. By dawn, there was no one person left who had not crossed the Jordan. When Ahithophel realized that his advice had not been followed, he saddled his donkey and returned to his house in his hometown. After setting his household in order, he hanged himself. So he died and was buried in a grave of his father. Okay, what in the world is this about? What in the world is this about? He gives advice to the king. He's chosen sides. The king doesn't follow his advice. So he goes home, gets his affairs in order, and he kills himself because the king didn't follow his advice. I think he knows what's happening next. David's going to win. He chose a side. He gave good advice from his perspective. He gave good advice. It wasn't followed. I think this is his way of thinking. I will get my family spared by me taking my own life. Then there will be no vengeance on my family for me having chosen the wrong side. I think he's realized my time is up with Absalom. He didn't listen to my advice. He won't listen to more advice. When David wins, because King Absalom, soon to be king, is not listening to good advice. He's going to die. My family's they're going to get revenge on him. But if I'm gone, they won't think about revenge. I think that might be it. Meanwhile, David had gone to Mahanaim, while Absalom and all the men of Israel had crossed the Jordan River. Absalom had made Amasa general in command of the army in place of Joab. Okay, what part of the army was left? Because Joab went, so this is a different part of the army. Now, Amasa was the son of an Israelite man named Jether, who had married Abigail, the daughter of Nahash, the sister of Zerah, Joab's mother. Okay, so let me get this straight. So Amasa is the son of Israel named Jether, who married Abigail, the daughter of Nashor, the sister of Zerah, Joab's mother. Okay, so Joab's mother's sister's daughter. Joab's mother's sister's daughter. Okay, so it's cousin. It's his cousin's husband. Okay, the army of Israel and Absalom camped in the land of Gilead. When David came to Mahanaim, Shobai, the son of Nahash, from Rabbah of the Ammonites, Makar, the son of Amiel, from Lodebar, and Barzillai, the Gileadite, from Rogelim, brought bedding, basins, and pottery utensils. They also brought food for David and all who were with him, including wheat, barley, flour, roasted grains, beans, lentils, honey, curds, flocks, and cheese. For they said, the people are no doubt hungry, tired, and thirsty in the desert, in the wilderness. Okay. Cheese of the herd, preferably referring to cheese from cows rather than goats. Oh, cheese of the herd instead of goat, or it could be sheep cheese too. So roasted grain. Okay. Wow, look at this list though. Look at this list. Wheat, barley, flour, roasted grains. Could be all of those. Beans, lentils, honey, curds, which would be cheese, flocks, and curds, or in cheese. Okay. David assembled the army that was with him. He appointed leaders of thousands and leaders of hundreds. Okay, he's appointing leaders of thousands. He fled with 600. More have obviously come to David. When they hear that David has fled, they are going to David. David then sent out the army, a third under the leadership of Joab, a third under the leadership of Joab's brother Abishai, son of Zeruiah, and a third under the leadership of Ittai, with me, the Gittite. The king said to the troops, I too will indeed march out with you. So he split them up into three parties, three generals. But the soldiers replied, you should not do this, for if, if we should have to make a rapid retreat, they won't be concerned about us. Even if, even if half of us should die, they won't be concerned. But you are like 10,000 of us. So it is better if, if you remain in the city for support. Then the king said to them, I will do whatever seems best to you. So, David here, again, not taking action. He tries to. I'll go out with you. You guys are going. And they're like, no, we can't lose you. Why? Because this is unlike any other time. If we lose you, we're all going to be put to death. There will be no prisoners of war. And if we fall, they're going to be chasing you. So we got to protect you. So the king stayed beside the city gate while all the army marched out by hundreds and by thousands. The king gave the order to Joab, Abishai, and Ittai. For my sake, deal gently with the young man Absalom. Now the entire army was listening when the king gave all the leaders this order concerning Absalom. Sounds a whole lot like don't strike down King Saul. Let's look for parallels now as this action takes place, similar to going against Saul. Then the army marched out to the field to fight against Israel. The battle took place in the forest of Ephraim. The army of Israel was defeated there by David's men. The slaughter there was great that day. 20,000 soldiers were killed. The battle there was spread over the whole area. The forest consumed more soldiers than the sword devoured that day. So they're walking around in the forest, and bad stuff is happening in the forest. They're falling down or falling, whatever it is. Snakes, who knows? The forest is devouring them. Then Absalom happened to come across David's men. Now, as Absalom was riding on his mule, okay, the donkey went under the branches of a large oak tree. His head got caught in the oak, and he was suspended in midair, while the mule he was riding on kept going. He got caught between the sky and the ground. I like that language. So it says his head got caught. I think it's his hair. We had a whole thing about his hair earlier. When men of the men saw him, he reported it to Joab. I saw Absalom hanging in an oak tree. Joab replied to the man who was telling him this. What? You saw this? Why didn't you strike him down on the spot? I would have given 10 pieces of silver and a commemorative belt, a girdle, a warrior's belt, a special belt, a hero's belt. Ooh, didn't know that. The man replied to Joab, even if, even if I had received 1,000 pieces of silver, I would not strike the king's son. In our very presence, the king gave the order to you, Abishai and Attai, protect the young man Absalom for my sake. If, if I had acted at risk of my own life, and nothing is hidden from the king, you would have abandoned me. Like if the king demanded my death, you're not on my side. I know better. Joab replied, I will not wait around like this for you. He took 3 spears in his hand, and he thrust them into the middle of Absalom while he was still alive in the middle of the oak tree. Then 10 soldiers who were Joab's armor bearers struck Absalom and finished him. So, 10 soldiers. So, he throws 3 spears into his abdomen, and now 10 soldiers are taking action. I think this, let's see how it plays out, but I think this is kind of equivalent to the firing squad. We don't know who actually killed him. We all struck him. So one of us did, but we don't know who it is. So you have to punish us all or none. I think that might be it. Then Joab blew the trumpet, and the army turned back from chasing Israel. Then Joab had called for the army to halt. They took Absalom, threw him into a large pit in the forest, and stacked a huge pile of stones over it. In the meantime, all the Israelite soldiers fled to their homes. So they're not even going to allow the king to see. Before this, Absalom had set up a monument and dedicated it to himself in the King's Valley, reasoning, I have no sons who will carry on my name. He named a monument after himself, and to this day it is known as Absalom's Memorial. Wait. I have no sons who will carry on my name? It said earlier he had 3 sons. Did they die? What are we talking about here? I don't know what's going on. He had 3 sons and a daughter named Tamar. I have no sons who will carry on my name. That's just weird. Okay. Maybe it'll give us more clue later. Then Ahimaaz, the son of Zadok, said, let me run and give the king the good news that the Lord has vindicated him before his enemies. Bad call, my friend. But Joab said to him, you will not be the bearer of good news today. You will bear good news some other day, but not today, for the king's son is dead. Like you're saying you're going to do good news, this is not good news. The king's son is dead. Then Joab said to the Cushite, go and tell the king what you have seen. After bowing to Joab, the Cushite ran off. Ahimaaz, the son of Zadok, again spoke to Joab, whatever happens, let me go after the Cushite. But Joab said, why is it that you want to go, my son? You have no good news that will bring you a reward. But he said, whatever happens, I want to go. So Joab said to him, then go. So Ahimaaz ran by the way of the Jordan plain and passed the Cushite. So we got 2 guys running. One of them's going to get there first. Now David was sitting between the inner and the outer gates, and the watchman went up to the roof over the gate at the wall. When he looked, he saw a man running by himself. So the watchman called out and informed the king. The king said, if he is by himself, he brings good news. The runner came even closer. Then the watchman saw another man running. The watchman called out to the gatekeeper, there is another man running after by himself. The king said, this one also is bringing good news. The watchman said, it appears to me the first runner is Ahimaaz, the son of Zadok. The king said, he is a good man, and he comes with good news. Oh, folks, we are in 2 Samuel 18. We're in 2 Samuel 18. So we started in 13, we made it to 18 today. And we've got runners who are coming to the king with news about Absalom's death. Welcome in. Then Ahimaaz called out and said to the king, greetings! He bowed down before the king and said, with his face forward to the ground, and said, may the Lord your God be praised, because he has defeated the men who opposed the Lord the king. Excuse me. The king replied, how is the young man Absalom? Ahimaaz replied, I saw a great deal of confusion when Joab was sending the king's servant and me. Your servant, but I don't know what it is all about. The king said, turn aside and take your place here. So he turned aside and waited. Ooh. So Ahimaaz comes and he only reports what could be good news. Those pursuing you, those who want you dead, have been defeated. But he doesn't bring news about his son, because news about his son is bad news. So he brings what could be good news. So Ahimaaz, ooh, slick you are, my friend. Let's see what else happens. Sorry, trying to get my lid screwed back on here. Okay. Then the Cushite arrived and said, may my lord the king now receive the good news. The Lord has vindicated you today and delivered you from the hand of all who have rebelled against you. The king asked the Cushite, how is the young man Absalom? The Cushite replied, may the enemies of my lord the king and all who plotted against you be like that young man. Okay, 19:1, what is this? For the Lord has vindicated you today from the hands of all those who rose up against you. Oh, okay. This is in some translations, this is where 19 starts. That's all that is. Okay, I was confused there by 19:1. The king then became very upset. He went up to the upper room of the gate and wept. As he went, he said, my son Absalom, my son Absalom, if only I could have died in your place. Absalom, my son. Electropod, welcome in. Okay. So we got two messengers. They bring, I thought the king might have done something against, but didn't appear to. Joab was told, the king is weeping and mourning over Absalom. So the victory of that day was turned to mourning as far as all the people were concerned. For the people heard on that day, the king is grieving over his son. That day, the people stole away to go to the city, the way people who are embarrassed steal away in fleeing from battle. The king covered his face and cried loudly, my son Absalom, Absalom, my son, my son. So the king hears good news. Joab killed your son. Doesn't hear that part. But Joab killed your son. He ordered him not to. Joab killed your son, and now he's mourning. And now what's Joab going to do? Oh, my goodness. Dude, I knew this was going to happen. Probs. So Joab visited the king at his home. That shows the heart of a parent for their children. Oh, yeah, exactly. Wishing he may have died in their place, even though the son was a bad dude. Yeah, Yeah, but also I still view this as it is the Kings in action over a 7 year period. Seven? And no, I think 11 total. That he does not. Laura, good morning. And Hap, welcome in. Yes, it does show the heart. He wasn't willing to take action against them. He also was unwilling to take action when Amnon took action, and so Absalom took action. So his sons are taking action when dad isn't. Had David taken action to restore things earlier, all this would have been avoided. But yes, I totally agree with you. Parents will do that for their kids. So tired today and stuffed up. Oh, sorry to hear that. I just went to the ENT, ear, nose, throat doctor, and I've got some new meds to help. And took the new one yesterday, and I don't know if it kept me awake last night. Had a poor night of sleep, but I could breathe a lot better. So maybe if it's a chronic problem, an ENT would be helpful. Okay. So Joab visited the king at his home. He said, "Today you have embarrassed all your servants who have saved your life this day, as well as the lives of your sons, your daughters, your wives, and your concubines. You seem to love your enemies and to hate your friends. For you have done, for you as much as declared today that leaders and servants don't matter to you. I realize now that if, if Absalom were alive and all of us were dead today, it would be all right with you. So get up now and go out and give some encouragement to your servants, for I swear by the Lord that if, if you don't go out there, not a single man will stay here with you tonight. This disaster will be worse for you than the disaster that has overtaken you from your youth right to the present time." So, we'll be lurking. Awesome. Thank you. Joab understands the army. He tried to avoid this circumstance by, hey, bring Absalom back. The king wouldn't do things and restore full relationship. Like, you got to keep him at arm's distance. He's not acting right. Now, the guy you've sent to exile, the guy that rose up against you, you're mourning for him. You can't do this. You don't get to do this. You are the king. These men risked their lives to protect you and the rest of your family, and you're mourning the one that wanted to take your life. So the king got up and he sat at the city gate. When all the people were informed, the king was sitting at the city gate. They all came before him. But the wise counsel, oh yes, will drop the hammer, because sometimes that's what it takes to snap you out of stuff. Yes. Also, by the way, this is when Moses sinned. Okay, if we go back, let's look at this. Aaron's sons did what was wrong in the sight of God. They died, and Aaron was told, you can't mourn for your sons. You cannot mourn for your sons. You have to continue the institution of the tabernacle. You don't get the chance to mourn. You are in service of God. You don't get to mourn. Moses, when he's leading the people and his sister Miriam dies, he mourns, and then the people are saying, hey, we've had enough, we need to go. And then the people are rebelling, so to speak, trying to get Moses to act. Moses grabs, I think, the stick of rebellion, and he strikes the rock with the stick of rebellion, in rebellion against what God said to speak to the rock. And that's where his sin happens, in the emotional state. Aaron doesn't sin in the emotional state. Moses does sin in the emotional state. Here, David is in the act of doing things he should not do, and he's reminded, you don't get the privilege to do that. You don't. You've got to do what's right. Yeah, you were just thinking about that. Yeah, you should. You should absolutely. A scripture is not an isolated thing. Your mind should go to other things. Yes, leaders need to lead. It's not that they don't get to mourn. It's the timing of when you get to mourn. The people right now have risked their lives. You need to honor them. You can mourn your son later. Right now is the time for honoring those who are servants. So, It's an order of operations. It's an order of operations, if that makes sense, which I know you can't always do with your emotions. And I know it's not always healthy to push down your emotions. But let me put it a different way. As a pastor who has buried lots of friends, because the people in your church become your friends, I often do not get to mourn the loss of those people until after I have served the family and the church in my role as pastor. It's only after the fact that I get to fully mourn and weep for those people that break my heart when they die. I'm not saying everyone breaks your heart when they die. I mean they're sad, and sometimes it's, oh, they died of a ripe old age, and or you knew it was coming, and those kinds of things. Still sad, still mourning, but there's some that just overwhelm you. You don't get to do that very often. It's not what people are looking for. It doesn't help the rest of people. So you do it in a different order. You do the serving of everyone else's needs first, and the mourning for yourself needs later. I think that's what David needs to do here. He's getting good advice from someone who trusts him and knows him. Okay. But the Israelite soldiers had all fled to their own homes. All the people throughout all the tribes of Israel were arguing amongst themselves, saying, "The king delivered us from the hand of our enemies. He rescued us from the hands of the Philistines. But now he has fled from the land because of Absalom? But Absalom, who we anointed as our king, has died in battle. So now why do we hesitate to bring the king back?" Okay, so we've got David as a choice. Then King David sent a messenger to Zadok and Abiathar the priest, saying, "Tell the elders of Judah, why should you delay any further in bringing the king back to his palace, when everything Israel is saying has come to the king's attention? You are my brothers, my very own flesh and blood. Why should you delay any further in bringing the king back? So say to Amasa, are you not my flesh and blood? God will punish me severely if, if from this time on you are not the commander of my army in place of Joab." So, hey, Roach, welcome in. Good morning. So, he's going to get a replacement for Joab because he's tired of Joab knowing what's best. He won over the hearts of all the men of Judah as though they were one man. Then they sent word to the king saying, "Return, you and all your servants as well." So the king returned and came to the Jordan River. Now the people of Judah had come to Gilgal to meet the king and to help him cross the Jordan. Shimei, son of Gera, the Benjamite from Bahurim, came down quickly with the men of Judah to meet King David. There were 1,000 men from Benjamin with him, along with Ziba, the servant of Saul's household, and with him 15 sons and 20 servants. Hey, Mega Black, welcome in. Thanks for the follow, friend. And now there's the alert. The second alert, I guess. Lost my place. Wait. Okay, 1,000 men were with Ziba. Okay, Ziba again was a servant, and we already had the 15 sons and 20 servants earlier. He had come to help David when he was fleeing. He's returned to the story. They hurried, crossed the Jordan within sight of the king. They crossed the fjords in order to help the king's household cross and to do whatever he thought appropriate. So they crossed the river to help them cross back over the river. That's kind of cool. Now, after he had crossed the Jordan, Shimei, son of Gera, threw himself down before the king. He said to the king, "Don't think too badly of me, my lord, and don't recall the sin of your servant on the day when you, my lord the king, left Jerusalem. Please don't call it to mind, for I, your servant, know that I have sinned, and I have come today as the first of all the house of Joseph to come down and meet my lord the king. So, hey, I know I done messed up. I'm coming to you, and I'm repenting. Abishai, son of Zeruiah, replied, for this should not Shimei be put to death. After all, he cursed the Lord's anointed. So if you weren't here, this guy was cursing. He was cursing David, throwing stones at him, wishing him dead. He's now come to say, I was wrong. I was wrong. But David said, what do you have in common with the sons of Zeruiah? You are like my enemy today. Should anyone be put to death in Israel today? Don't I know that today I am king over Israel? The king said to Shimei, you won't die. The king vowed an oath concerning this. So remember, while he was on the way, he was being cursed. The men wanted to kill him then. You're annoying. He's throwing rocks. He's throwing stones. He's cursing them. He doesn't leave them alone. He's following them all the way. And he said, hey, he's either speaking this of the Lord and he's prophesying, and God means to curse me. And that's okay. If he's speaking the word of God, we're not standing against it. The other side, if these are not the words of God, then he's a fool, and God will take pity on me because of the curses. So now he's like, I don't need to take action. Now Mephibosheth, Saul's grandson, came down to meet the king. From the day the king had left until the day he safely returned, Mephibosheth had not cared for his feet, nor trimmed his mustache, nor washed his clothes. Oh, so Ziba left and the servants left, so he hasn't had clean clothes, he can't wash his own feet, and he's not washed his, or trimmed his mustache. That's a weird thing. Done his mustache, trimmed his mustache. Yeah, he's not caring for himself. He's disheveled because he can't care for himself. He's crippled in both legs. When he came from Jerusalem to meet the king asked him, why didn't you go with me, Mephibosheth? He replied, my lord the king, my servant deceived me. I said, let me get my donkey saddled so I can ride on it and go to the king, for I am lame. But my servant has slandered me to my lord the king. But my lord the king is like an angel of God. Do whatever seems appropriate to you. After all, there was no one in the entire house of my grandfather who did not deserve death from my lord the king, but instead you allowed me to eat. Oh, I got to add in progress. Bummer. Okay, I was trying to finish that. I'll highlight that so I know where to come back to. Sorry, I didn't pull up my screen that shows me better, and I need to get the alert set up. I just haven't done that. So let's take a tour. Are the guppies going to come in now? No, it looks like it's struggling today. Oh, look at the baby koi. Oh, look at the koi. Look at the beautiful sun. Well, it's behind the clouds, but you guys should be... There's the koi outside. Nope, not going to come. Oh, they started to. There we go. There we go. All right, so we're back. We back. All right. So Mephibosheth is claiming that Ziba has been lying to the king. He wanted to be loyal. Ziba didn't let him be loyal. Ziba plotted against him. Let's see how the king responds to this. So I know all the people. Okay. So after all, there was no one in the entire house of my grandfather who did not deserve death from my lord the king. But instead, you allow me to eat at your own table. What further claim do I have to ask the king for anything? The king replied to him, why should you continue speaking this? You and Ziba will inherit the field together. Mephibosheth said to the king, Let him have the whole thing. My lord the king has returned safely to his house. Ooh. Ooh. That sounds to me like Mephibosheth might be the one telling the truth. Oh, return safely and return to peace. Oh, I so much like return to peace better. Shalom, rest, the presence of God upon you. Now, when Barzillai the Gilead had come down from Rogelim, he crossed the Jordan with the king so he could send him on his way from there. But Barzillai was very old, 80 years old in fact, and he had taken care of the king when he stayed in Mahanaim, for he was a very rich man. So the king said to Barzillai, cross over with me, and I will take care of you while you are in Jerusalem. So he's like very old. He's like, hey, if you come with me, I'll take care of you now. You took care of me, I'll take care of you. Barzillai replied to the king, how many days do I have left to my life that I should go up with the king to Jerusalem? I am now 80 years old. Am I able to discern bad or good and bad? Can I taste what I eat and drink? Am I still able to hear the voice of male and female singers? Why should I continue to be a burden to the Lord the king? Like, I'm no good. I am no service. I can't hear. I can't taste. I can't even get drunk. I will cross the Jordan with the king and go a short distance. Why should the king reward me in this way? Let me return so that I may die in my own town near the grave of my father and mother. But look, here is your servant, Kimham. Let him cross over with the Lord the king. Do to him whatever seems appropriate to you. Yeah, you're just giving the shouts out. Yep. Okay, Kimham. Kimham? We're looking another name up. 2 Samuel 19. We've made it 3 chapters without a lookup. Oh, maybe 2. Kimham 37. I'm guessing it's not pronounced Kimham. Kimham. Oh, Shimham, maybe.
Strong's H 3643. Kimham.
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 Their longing. Okay. No, I don't know if there's anything in there. The servant, their longing. Okay. The king replied, Kimham will cross over with me, and I will do for him whatever I deem appropriate, and whatever you choose, I will do for you. Oh, so I'll do what you ask. I'm still going to give you something. So all the people crossed the Jordan, as did the king. After the king had kissed him and blessed him, Barzillai returned to his home. When the king crossed over to Gilgal, Kimham crossed over with him. Now all the soldiers of Judah, along with half the soldiers of Israel, had helped the king cross over. I think it just means they crossed over with the king. Okay. There's a variant in the text. That's all that is. Then all the men of Israel began coming to the king. They asked the king, why did our brothers, the men of Judah, sneak the king away and help the king and his household cross the Jordan? And not only him, but all of David's men as well. All the men of Judah replied to the house of Israel, because the king is our close relative. Why are you so upset about this? Have we eaten at the king's expense? Or have we misappropriated anything that is for our own use? The men of Israel replied to the men of Judah, we have 10 shares in the king, and we have a greater claim on David than you. Why do you want to curse us? Weren't we the first to suggest bringing back our king? But the commandments of the men of Judah were more severe than those, the comments of the men of Judah were more severe than those of the men of Israel. Okay, so they're arguing over who got to bring the king back or not, and who got to serve the king. That's kind of weird. Kind of weird. But we've got the end of that story of Absalom. We'll see where we go. If we get into another big section, that's probably where we'll end today. But I got some time. We can keep going. Now, a wicked man named Sheba, son of Bichri, a Benjamite, relative of Saul, happened to be there. He blew the trumpet and said, "We have no share in David. We have no inheritance in this son of Jesse. Every man go home, O Israel." So all the men of Israel deserted David and followed Sheba, son of Bichri. But the men of Judah stuck by their king all the way from the Jordan to Jerusalem. Then David went to his palace in Jerusalem. The king took the 10 concubines he had left to care for the palace, and he placed them under confinement. Or in a guarded house. Okay. Though he provided for their needs, he did not sleep with them. They remained under restriction until the day they died, living out the rest of their lives as widows. So he now treats them as widows because they've been violated. But he cares for them. Yeah, still interesting that he left them behind to care for the palace. Now they're under guard and key. They can't get out, but they're under protection. Then the king said to Amasa, "Call the men of Judah together for me in 3 days, and you be present here with them too." So Amasa went out to call Judah together, but in doing so, he took longer than the time the king had allotted him. Ooh, you're supposed to do this in 3 days, and you're taking longer? Ooh, what is this going to lead to? Then David said to Abishai, "Now Sheba, son of Bichri, will cause greater disaster for us than Absalom did. Take your Lord's servants and pursue him. Otherwise, he will secure fortified cities for himself and get away from us." So Joab's men, accompanied by the Kerethites and the Pelethites, and all the warriors left Jerusalem to pursue Sheba, son of Bichri. So he's trying to give Amasa this job. He's not there. So then he says to Abishai, "I'll give the job to you." When they were near the big rock that is in Gibeon, Amasa came to them. Now Joab was dressed in military attire and had a dagger in the sheath belt to his waist. When he advanced, it fell out. You might relax some more. Guess still sleepy. Yeah, that would make sense. If you're sleepy, to get some rest. The significance of the statement, "it fell out," here is unclear. If the dagger fell out of the sheath before Joab got to Amasa, how then did he kill him? Josephus suggested that Joab approached Amasa. He deliberately caused the dagger to fall on the ground at the opportune moment, as though by accident. When he bent over to pick it up, he then stabbed Amasa with it. Others have tried to make a case for thinking that the two swords are referred to, that one of them fell out and another that Joab kept concealed until the last moment, but nothing in the text clearly supports this view. Perhaps Josephus understood it best, but it is by no means obvious in the text either. You're going to head off? All right, no problem. Thank you. Appreciate it. Lucis, prayer time. Yeah, accent. Joab was a cruel man. He totally was. He was a military man who did things military-wise. He understood how that would happen. Gmo de Gemini. Good morning, and chat. I've been lurking, Don't want to disturb you. Hey, no worries. We get off on sidetracks. Ask questions along the way. It is no problem whatsoever. But appreciate the lurk, my friend. Lucis, just let me know what the prayer's for. Oh, Thanksgiving prayer, because me and my kids were in a car accident and lived to tell about it by the grace of God. Oh, was this recent, Lucis? I didn't hear about this. Yay, God, indeed. I've been in a car accident or two, and there's one in particular yesterday. Oh, wow. Yes, definitely. Let's praise God. I was in one that I do not know how I made it out, or we made it out, I should say. Yeah, you're a little sore? I imagine so. God, we are just going to give you praise for your protection over Lucis and the family, the kids. They're all good. You are watching over them, caring for them. We just thank you for that. They're a little sore, but you were there. So give them comfort, give them peace, give them healing from the bruises that they have. If there are other things that need to take place, if the vehicle is damaged, if there's those things, just provide for that. May you give them peace of mind as well. And we praise you and thank you. You are the God who provides, the God who cares for, the God who watches over us. The car gave its side bag up for your lives. Yeah. So God, we thank you for the safety features in that car that were there to help bring protection. God, we praise you and thank you. For anyone else in the chat who is struggling today, Laura's a little bit tired. Refresh, Laura. Just thank you for who you are and all you do, for caring for us, for watching over us. For those who need healing, may you give them healing. For those who need peace, may you give them peace. God, we praise you and thank you in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you, Lucis, for sharing that. Appreciate that. Wow. Car accidents can happen very quickly and unexpectedly. I've been in a few that I'm very, very thankful that they were not worse. So, know the emotions of that for sure. Okay, so we have a dagger and a sheath belt in the waist. When he advanced, it fell out. Wonder what that word is. Not going to look it up. Joab said to Amasa, "How are you, my brother?" Remember, this is his cousin. This is his cousin. With his right hand, Joab took hold of Amasa's beard as if, as if to greet him with a kiss. Oh, he's going to greet him with a kiss? Amasa did not protect himself from the knife in Joab's other hand, and Joab stabbed him in the abdomen, causing Amasa's intestines to flow out on the ground. There was no need to stab him again. The first blow was fatal. Then Joab and his brother Abishai pursued Sheba, son of Bichri. Judas, exactly. You're catching it. Yeah. The betrayal with a kiss, the intestines spilled out on the ground. Donnie Dreams, welcome in with the RIP. Yes. Yes. Joab is a military powerhouse, a shrewd man, not one to be messed with. He also immensely loyal to the king, willing to do what is best. And he just got a demotion that he rejected. He just got a demotion and said, "I do not accept this demotion." Let's see what he does. So he's after Sheba. Amasa did not return in time. So is this just punishment for not being able to carry things out as possible? Or was Joab the reason he wasn't able to do it? We don't know that. One of Joab's soldiers who stood over Amasa, said, "Whoever is for Joab and whoever is for David, follow Joab." Amasa was squirming in his own blood in the middle of the path, and this man had noticed that all the soldiers stopped. Having noticed that everyone who came across Amasa stopped, the man pulled him away from the path and into a field and threw a garment over him. Once he had removed Amasa from the path, everyone followed Joab to pursue Sheba, son of Bichri. So, we were just talking about an accident. The soldiers are gawking over the dead guy. There's a dead guy on the path. They're marching to war, but they're gawking as they're marching to war. We got gawkers here. Oh well, your sword lost its power? Really? Interesting. Y'all, hey, we shout people out, Donnie. You're worth a shout out. By the way, if you're not following Donnie Dreams, go check out Donnie Dreams. Hey, I saw you got your merch, my friend. You got your merch. That's awesome. Did you do an unboxing? I haven't got my merch for DC4C yet, but I plan on doing an unboxing when I get that. I did do another one if you missed it earlier. I got a shirt that's pretty cool. Okay. One of Joab's soldiers, okay, there we go. Sheba traveled through all the tribes of Israel to Abel of Beth Maacah and all to Berat region. When they had assembled, they too joined him. So Joab's men came and laid siege against him at Abel at Beth Maacah. They prepared a siege ramp outside the city and stood against its outer ramparts. As all of Joab's soldiers were trying to break through the wall so that it would collapse, a wise woman came out from the city. Listen up, tell Joab, come near so I may speak to you. Ooh, I don't know if this is good or bad. Remember, Joab used a wise woman to deceive the king earlier. What's going to happen with the wise woman here? Is it for or against Joab? You did not. You should have, but it's been a very long week. Oh, okay. Maybe it was someone else that posted their swag. I thought it was you, Donnie. Anyway, I did see a post with some swag, and I know it's coming. I know the swag is coming. So, anyway. Oh, you posted the picture, but you didn't actually get it. Ah, I got confused. Okay. When he approached her, the woman asked, "Are you Joab?" He replied, "I am." She said to him, "Listen to the words of your servant." He said, "Well, go ahead. I'm listening." She said, "In the past, they would always say, 'Let them inquire in Abel.' And that is how they settled things. I represent the peaceful and the faithful in Israel. You're attempting to destroy an important city in Israel. Why should you swallow up the Lord's inheritance? You're destroying, this is an inheritance of the Lord. You're destroying it. We're loyal. We're loyal. It's not our fault they came into our city. Oh, you did get a shirt. Okay. You just didn't do an unboxing. Okay. Well, I started doing unboxings when I get shirts. I started it when I got hats. During COVID, before I was streaming, I started doing that on YouTube when I would get hats in the mail. Because at that point, I was still doing Flat Cap of the Month Club. I have since stopped, and I just want to pick out my own hats now. But, okay. Cool. Joab answered, "Not at all. I don't intend to swallow up or destroy anything. That's not the way things are. There is a man from the hill country of Ephraim named Sheba, son of Bichri. He has rebelled against King David. Give me just this one man, and I will leave the city. The woman said to Joab, this very minute his head will be thrown over the wall to you. Okay, remember the advice of, was it Abithiah? My brother, my father is fool. My brother is fool. Abitha. My brother is a fool, or my brother is foolish, gave the advice of going after and killing just one man. Now this woman is giving the same advice. Let's just kill one man. Better one man die than the whole city. Sound familiar to anybody? Then the woman went to all the people with her wise advice, and they cut off Sheba's head, and they threw it out to Joab. Joab blew the trumpet, and his men dispersed from the city, each going to his hometown. Joab returned to the king in Jerusalem. Now Joab was the general in command of all the army. Benaniah, the son of Jedahiah, was over the Kerethites and the Perathites. Adoriam was supervisor of the work crews. Jehoshaphat, son of Ahilud, was the secretary. Shiva was the scribe, and Zadok and Abithar were the priest. Ira the Jarite was David's personal priest. Ooh, that's interesting. A personal priest. Your own personal priest. Someone to... Okay, regarding the office as political. Chief minister unto David. Okay, yeah, we had this earlier where the term priest may have been used just like minister, and we talked about that, like the priest is a minister you minister to, and your cabinet officials are ministers. It might be a use of that language of he is the chief personal minister, the cabinet ministry. He's his chief in charge of all those things. That could be it. During David's reign, there was a famine. Okay. This is a story that may not be chronological. Okay. I just was reviewing. We talked about this at another point when we were going through the Gospel of John and how John's order of things might be different than the other Gospels' order of things. Here we have, this might not be chronological. This is just another story of importance. We've done some chronological stories. One that we didn't have time to tell in the middle of all these other things is this one. Because why would it take this long? Why would it take this long for this story to have come about? So, this is one of my favorite stories, honestly. This is one of my favorite stories. You probably don't know much about this story. But it shows corporate sin. I don't think we're really good with the whole idea of corporate sin. So, if you are in a group of people and you collectively do things, that is a sin of the people. You are together doing it. If you are an official who oversees the people and you act on behalf of the people, that sin is in the that sin resides with the position. It is up to that position to restore it. So this would be like if you're a priest and you sin, the priestly line has to restore from the sin. If you're a pastor, then it is the pastor. So who would need to do it? Here we're going to have king. So I just think that's a concept we don't do well with. We haven't focused on. We don't think about that. We are a bunch of rugged individuals, especially if you're North America. We're rugged individuals here. We pull ourselves up by our own bootstraps. We need no one else. We aren't responsible for anyone else. It's also, it goes against the mentality, the rugged individualism goes against our nation, I will say, and any nation who has endorsed slavery, who has benefited from slavery, does owe, and I don't know what they owe. Okay, they owe something to those who they have harmed. They need to make things right and just. I'm not telling you what would make it right and just. The first place is to admit it, to confess it, to repent of it. Not to say, hey, I didn't do it personally. That was my ancestors. I didn't live then. I didn't do it. It doesn't work that way. We as a people, as a nation, did this. The same way we as a nation did horrible things to the Chinese who came over to work on the railroads and afterwards. The same way that we did horrible things to the Japanese in internment camps during World War II. The same way we did horrible things to the natives who lived in the land. If you live in the land, you're the descendants of those who killed the prophets. Isn't that what we see in here? Same thing. Same thing. We are the descendants of, we are responsible for. I know that is not how we think about things. But when it comes to collectively, we are. Individually, I wouldn't say I owe anything for the sin of my father individually. As a descendant and one who has benefited from the sins in some way, I do owe something. What I owe exactly, how I need to make restitution, how we as a people, we can decide that together. I don't know what the right and just thing is, but I'm saying we should do those things. Hope that's making sense on that idea of corporate. And I wanted to say that before we look into this, because I want that idea of corporately there was a sin, corporately restoration needs to take place. Even when it's an individual, if it's an individual in the position to act on behalf of the whole people. So, if you follow that through. Okay. During David's reign, there was a famine for 3 consecutive years. There's a famine for 3 consecutive years. We don't know when this is. Sometime during his reign, there's 3 consecutive years. Okay, after 1 year, if there's a famine, if BT dubs, there's no house in the house, or no bread in the house of bread, we know there's a spiritual problem. It happened for 1 year. David doesn't do anything. It happens for 2 years. David didn't do anything. It doesn't appear. It happens 3 years. Oh, okay. So David inquired of the Lord. The Lord said, it was because of Saul and his blood-stained family, because he murdered the Gibeonites. Do you remember this story? This story was back in 1 Samuel. We're 21 chapters into 2 Samuel. Now we suddenly get this. That's why I say I think this is out of order. It just says sometime during there. I don't think he's waiting all the way until this time. It was, we needed the accusation of David as the man of bloodshed. Now we're going to return to Saul, who really was the man of bloodshed. Because David is acting not out of vengeance. He's not acting out of vengeance. He's not out for blood. Now we're going to return to what Saul did. So the king summoned the Gibeonites and spoke with them. Now the Gibeonites were not descendants of Israel. They were the remnant of the Amorites. The Israelites had made a promise to them. But Saul tried to kill them because of his zeal for the people of Israel and Judah. David said to the Gibeonites, what can I do for you, and how can I make amends so that you will bless the Lord's inheritance? Okay. See how he asked the people who have injustice done to them what would make restoration. How can we restore? So the Gibeonites, if you don't remember, are the ones who made a treaty with Joshua, who tricked Joshua, and they said, we'll be your servants forever. We just want to live. We will serve you forever. And Saul, when he's doing the wrong thing, and he can't actually go get victory where he's supposed to, he goes and he picks on these people who are, have no defense, to conquer and wipe them out, exterminate them out. This will please God. And it's like, no. You got to leave and go do some errands, Lucis? All right. I think this will be the last chapter that we'll be doing. So we'll see how far this story goes. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you. And blessings on you and your family. The Gibeonites said to him, we have no claim to silver or gold from Saul or from his family, nor would we be justified in putting to death anyone in Israel. Okay, so it's like, we're not looking for good or gold, we're not looking for payback. David asked, what then are you asking me to do for you? We also notice, we have this story on the backs of him wanting to honor people who had protected him, in the other land. He wanted to honor the other king and do for him whatever he asked. Here, he's wanting to do for them whatever they need. I don't think this story happens in this order. I'm just saying there's a parallel. That's why it's placed here. They replied to the king, "As for this man who exterminated us and who schemed against us so that we were destroyed and left without status throughout all the borders of Israel, let 7 of his male descendants be turned over to us, and we will execute them before the Lord in Gibeah of Saul, who was the Lord's chosen one." The king replied, "I will turn them over." So, 7 descendants. We've just had 2 descendants in the previous story who are still alive. Mephibosheth and Shimei are descendants of Saul. And they're saying, in order for us, we don't want money, but it said we don't want to put anyone to death in Israel. So we don't need to go take vengeance, but they're asking for justice. So 7 being the number of totality, 7 descendants will cover whatever harm he did to us. The king had mercy on Mephibosheth, son of Jonathan, the son of Saul, in light of the Lord's oath that had been taken between David and Jonathan, son of Saul. So the king took Armoni and Mephibosheth, the 2 sons of Ahai's daughter Rizpah, whom she had borne to Saul, and the 5 sons of Saul's daughter Merab, whom she bore to Adriel, the son of Barzillai, the Meholathite. Okay, so 5 sons of Merab. Oh, Michael. Here are 2 Hebrew manuscripts say Merab, along with other man. So it's either Michael or Merab. So the king took. Okay, so this must be another Mephibosheth. So the king took Armoni and Mephibosheth, the 2 sons of Ahai, daughter Rizpah. So this is not the other Mephibosheth. We're making sure we know that, but there's a person named Mephibosheth. Must have been a common name or a family name. Okay. He turned them over to the Gibeonites. They executed them on the hill before the Lord. The 7 of them died together. They were put to death during the harvest time, during the first days of the beginning of the barley harvest. So there's been a famine, and there's going to be a barley harvest. They're executed at the beginning of the harvest. This is, okay, Saul is not there. Saul was in the office. So this is one of those weird times where this is corporate sin and corporate punishment, which seems really foreign and weird to us. Like, for anyone to be thrown in jail for what their grandfather did would be weird to us. But here we're looking at a corporate status of things. Rizpah, the daughter of Ahai, took sackcloth and spread it out for her on a rock. From the beginning of the harvest until the rain fell on them, she did not allow the birds of the air to feed on them by day, nor the wild animals by night. When David was told that Rizpah, daughter of Ai, Saul's concubine, had done, he went and took the bones of Saul and his son Jonathan from the leaders of Jabesh Gilead. Okay, so this does sound like this is after Saul's death. May not have been after Absalom. They had secretly taken them from the plaza in Beth Shan. It was there that the Philistines publicly exposed the corpses after they had killed Saul in Gilboa, if you remember that. David brought the bones of Saul and Jonathan, his son, from there, and also gathered up the bones of those he'd executed. So he gets Saul and Jonathan and the 7 dead. They buried the bones of Saul and his son Jonathan in the land of Benjamin at Zelah, in the grave of his father Kish. After they had done everything the king had commanded, God responded to the prayers for the land. So it's not until they're buried. They're out. They were killed. They're executed. They're in the elements. They don't have proper burial. The king didn't get proper honor. Jonathan didn't get proper honor. So David fully does two things. He fully restores the sin that Saul had done, and he restores the honor to the household of Saul at the same time, which really seems weird because you have these 7 dead who fulfill the sin, the retribution, the justice, and you have the honor of the king that's come together. After that, God hears their prayer. So sin can, throughout Scripture, become a barrier to God listening. Until you deal with sin, there's a barrier that God allows to be in place to listen. Okay. Another battle was fought between the Philistines and Israel. So David went down with a soldier and fought the Philistines. David became exhausted. Now, Ishbai Benad, one of the descendants of Rapha, had a spear that weighed 300 bronze shekels, and his army, and was armed with a new weapon. He said that he would kill David. Okay. It simply says a new thing, prompting one to ask, a new what? Several possibilities have been posed to resolve the problem. Perhaps the word was dropped out of the Hebrew text here, or perhaps the word new is a result of a misreading, different, less common word, or perhaps a word. Sword is simple to be inferred. The translation generally follows the last possibility, while at the same time being deliberately non-specific weapon. Okay. He was armed with a new. He had said that he would kill David, but Abishai, the son of Zerah, came to David's aid, striking the Philistine down and killing him. Then David's men took an oath, saying, "You will not go out to battle with us again. You must not extinguish the lamp of Israel." Okay, so this part here feels like we're continuing the story. I feel like that piece up above was not in the story in order necessarily, but now, because you're not going to another battle. You got tired. You weren't able to go with. Later, there was another battle with the Philistines, this time in Gob. On this occasion, Shibbekai, the Hushathite, killed Saph, who was one of the descendants of Rapha. Yet another battle occurred with the Philistines in Gob. On this occasion, Elhanah, the son of Jar, the Bethlehemite, killed the brother of Goliath, the Gittite. Yes, it is Gittite, from Gath. Okay, so we had that question earlier. There's the answer. The shaft of whose spear was like a weaver's beam. Yet another battle occurred in Gath. On this occasion, there was a large man who had 6 fingers. This always fascinated me as a kid. He had 6 fingers on each hand and 6 toes on each foot, 24 in all. He too was a descendant of Rapha. When he taunted Israel, Jonathan, the son of David's brother Shimei, killed him. Shemaiah. These 4 were the descendants of Rapha who lived in Gath. They were killed by David and his soldiers. Getting information overload. I know. So we have, okay, so one of the things that's supposed to happen when they go into the land is they're supposed to kill the descendants. Xanadu Peach, welcome in. They're supposed to kill the descendants of the Rephaim, the Nephilim, all of those who are giants. So they're supposed to kill them when they come into the land. When David comes around, some are still alive. As we go through and we read through the story of Samuel, we get to the end. There is no mention, I believe, again, of any of the giants. David, during his lifetime, just not him, but some, I can't remember if it was Moab or Ammon who defeated some. But anyway, they're getting wiped out. They're getting taken care of. They are no more. See how long this song is here. Might just do the song and yeah, we might do the song. Oh, are we that close to David's final words? Oh, no, no. We're not. We have a census afterwards. Okay. That'll do it then. We'll go right there. We'll stop there. Scroll back. So we went to 21. We went to 21. So let me write that down. I don't know where it needs to go, so I'll just put it here. I'll cross it out. Why did I put axe? Duh. To Sam. There we go. Uncle Diddy. Hey, I did have, let me just see if, I had 2 requests yesterday or Tuesday for Guide the Raid. So I'm going to see if Hannah is on, who the request was for on Tuesday, if that's all right. If Hannah is not on, then we'll go with that, and we'll save Hannah for when I see Hannah on. I do not see Hannah. Okay. Yep, do not see Hannah. We'll go to Uncle Diddy. All right. I hope we're making some progress towards getting caught up. If not, we eventually will. We made a good progress. We looked a lot of names up today. Didn't have a lot of side converse. No rabbit trails today, didn't seem like. No rabbit trails. So, anyway, if you were not here earlier, let me just show off my merch again. So, I think this is a cool shirt on Discord, as it is in heaven. I like the blue. I like the blue because it's like clouds, right? It's like clouds. So, you know, the clouds on the shirt. I think it's pretty cool. So you can go over to thechurch.digital and go to the merch store there, and you'll find it. Oh, why did it not? Are the commands off? Let me just peek a minute. Sometimes CloudBot gets turned off, which is weird. I don't understand why CloudBot... Oh, it says it's active. I'll just toggle it. We say we're active. There we go. Now it's working. I toggled it off and on. I must have made it. I don't know why it does that. Anyway, if you want a shirt like mine, you can go over there and get that shirt. They have it in different colors as well. There's some other stuff over there too. Let me see if this one's working. This one was not working the other day, and I needed to. Hey Donnie, I don't know if is DC4C working in your chat. It's not working in mine. I need to let Spartan know. So if you want to check it in your chat, see if it's working. Maybe it's a problem I have, but otherwise, we need to check that. No, all my commands are not under one bot. Just some of the commands are under CloudBot, and for some reason, it will click itself off. So, no, there are Twitch commands, and there are bot commands, and there's Streamlabs bot commands. You haven't tried recently, you can check that. Yeah, yeah. Let's do that and let Spartan know. I noticed that, I want to say either the end of last week or earlier this week. I thought maybe it was something I had going on, but I'll let him know that that command isn't working. And, don't put an extra exclamation point if you want to, have a command work. There we go. Come on. Doesn't look like it. Okay. I'll let him know. All right, let me send you off with a blessing, and then we will get the raid rolling here. Let me pull that up while I'm thinking about it. Oh, that's not the right thing. What am I thinking? Okay, there we go. All right. May God's seeking comfort find you. May his loving arms bind you. May his might protect you. May his wisdom direct you. May the joyous love of Jesus Christ be with you and all those you know, both now and forevermore. Amen. Amen. Thank you all for being here. Let me roll my credits.
Dashing through pages, chronicles, gospels, prophets, sages, Leviticus, laws to Paul's fine phrases. Turning them corners, no spiritual mazes. Genesis to Revelation, self-divine, flipping scripts, endless grace you'll find. Psalm singing sweet, unbroken lines, hitting that rhythm, wordplay refined. Anybody in here blessed? I'm blessed. Anybody in here blessed? I'm blessed. Bible in 1 year, we don't rest. Anybody in here blessed? I'm blessed. Wake up early, the dawn's like shimmers. Spiritual breakfast, soul food
leaving
dinners.
this on credits when I close it.
Ezekiel's figures.
This
Walk
song
through the
plays
fire,
every time I
no
open
one
it up.
limbers. Kings and judges, prophets profound. Plowing the word, no mythical ground. Verse after verse, wisdom's bound. Heavenly soundtrack, soul's urban sound. Anybody in here blessed? I'm blessed. Anybody in here blessed? I'm blessed. Bible in 1 year, we don't rest. Anybody in here blessed? I'm blessed. No shortcuts, all divine routes. Listen to the whispers, no room for doubt. Parables drop stronger than gold faucets. Souls hydrated from divine prophets. Study the book, change perspectives. Carefully crafted, not too subjective. A year to reflect, learn and perfect pattern.